Many people don't realize the SAFE Act, in my opinion, and from everybody that it runs in my circles, SAFE Act was passed as a knee-jerk reaction to a greater problem in the state, and that is the mental health issue. They thought that this was going to take care of it, but it exacerbated the problem, and they're not addressing the mental health issue at all. I believe the laws that we have within the state of New York and the laws that we have and the federal government has are capable of handling the mental health issue. They don't need a pet. That's why the SAFE Act has to go. I'm sorry. I got 4 questions. Are you safer now in Chautauqua County than you used to be? Think about that. Do you believe that violent crime in Chautauqua County has increased? Do you believe that drug trafficking in Chautauqua County has increased?
Oh, yeah.
Do you believe that county police services in Chautauqua County can be done more effectively? If you answered yes to any of those, there needs to be a change in Mayville. That's where I'm coming from. On the last one, I mentioned county police services. What I want to do and I propose to do is implement countywide central police services. Don't confuse that with being a merger. It's not a merger. It's a collaboration of the existing police services within this county with the various police agencies. There would be, I would collaborate with the other agencies in a panel comprised of the chiefs of police from the different agencies to effectively handle crime within the county and put the meat of where the problem is. Moving police personnel to an area where there's a problem rather than depending on each individual agency to take care of the problem in and of themselves. Centralized police services is done very effectively up in Wyoming County, not Wyoming County, but in Erie County has central police services, and they have it up in Rochester as well, in that area as well. And works very good for them. There's a gal up in Rochester that runs centralized police services for their county, and I talked to her several times in the last few weeks and months, and they handle a problem. I'll give you an example of how they work. They have in Chautauqua County we have a SWAT team. In Jamestown has their own SWAT team. Sheriff's Department has their own SWAT team. Dunkirk and Fredonia have their own SWAT teams. Under Central Police Services, we would have the cream of the crop from all the agencies. We would form a SWAT team that could be mobilized countywide to handle any individual problem rather than each individual community or police agency having their own SWAT team. That's just one example of how centralized police services works. Not only
are they going to be on a helicopter, or how are they going to get from one to the county to the other?
It's a big county, but they can mobilize pretty quickly within the county.
Yeah, half an hour if you need somebody in right away.
That's why you have police agencies represented from the whole county.
It's interesting you say that because, not to take away, Russ, there was an article on I forget, Channel 4, whatever that is. Thank you. Just before the meeting, it came through on the phone, which I forgot, but it came through on the phone and said that Erie County had used their helicopter for a drug interdiction in the South Towns. Guess which county didn't use the helicopter? Us. So we're not using all the resources that we have available to fight crime. We're actually relying on other folks to jump in and help us out.
The other problem was, and I mentioned this over the weekend at my gathering up in Jamestown at the War Vets the other day, is that presently, a lot of people don't realize this, but we have 2 drug task forces within Chautauqua County. People look at you and they don't realize that what's going on. Jamestown right now is in partnership with the state police and the town of Ellicott Police Department. They have one task force. And most of the articles that I've read in the paper in recent weeks and months, most of the activity has been generated by that task force. The Sheriff's Department has their own, the Southern Tier Regional Drug Task Force. There's been a parting of the ways, so to speak, between the difference of opinion, the way things should be operated and run between the Chief of Police in Jamestown and our current sheriff. So the sheriff went his way and the chief went his way, and they formed another drug task force, and they're doing quite well. I'm sure you can see in the paper they're doing quite well. But if I were elected sheriff, I would want to bring everybody back into one cohesive unit again, because it's really not serving the taxpayers of the Chautauqua County all that well by having two task forces. Cost has gone up, as you can well believe, to fight. And we have a heroin epidemic within this county of epic proportions. And to do the job the way it needs to be done, we need to have everybody in the same boat fighting. We have a common enemy, and we need to be joined together to fight that common enemy rather than fighting amongst ourselves. So that's one of the first things I would do is move. And the chief is in agreement with me on that. I've talked to the chief of police in Jamestown. He and I are friends. We've been friends for a long time. I came from that department. So, yes.
As it is now, I've heard that, I don't know how true it is, but they don't know what each other's doing, and it can screw things up.
Exactly. Well, it has happened. It's already happened, which I'm glad you brought that up. The Sheriff's Department had an operation going on inside the city, and in police work, what you have to do when you go into another jurisdiction, the Sheriff's Department comes into the city, it's only common courtesy to let them know you're in the city for what reason you're there for. This particular drug operation, they were doing, our task force was in the city of Jamestown and the state police and the Ellicott, this is before Ellicott joined, but the state police and the city police were working jointly on their task force and had an ongoing operation. Sheriff's Department came in and made a drug bust right under the noses of our guys within the city, and it disrupted an ongoing drug operation. Somebody could have gotten hurt or killed. We don't need that. That's one of the reasons we need everybody working as one cohesive unit. We don't need two task forces fighting drugs within Chautauqua County. It's just not, it's not good police work. It's not cost effective. I'm sure you would agree with that. So, again, I'm all about public safety. That's my big push. There's a lot of things in the county that need to be changed as far as the Sheriff's Department is concerned, and I could talk probably all night about that, but I don't want to hold you guys up. But something to think about. Any questions? Brian?
I spoke to a local police chief from a town here in Chautauqua County, and he was telling me that all the police departments in Chautauqua County get counted by the federal government when they give money to the county. He says that money goes to the county to Jurassic, and he's to allocate it.
He controls that.
And this police chief said he doesn't give it away to anybody else.
There's some fiscal problems associated with it. When you're talking about drug busts now, there's a formula. Say I'm the chief of police in the city of Jamestown, and get the sheriff coming in and we're doing a drug operation within the city of Jamestown. There's a formula that's broken up. That's the state set forth. So much money is allocated to the agency where the drug operation occurs, and the drug money is seizure money is allocated there. Out the state of course gets their cut, but it's not being done properly, and that's just one of the many problems there is. That's one of the reasons that the chief pulled away from the sheriff on the Southern Tier Regional Drug Task Force, because a lack of control of the personnel, and a lack of the funds that were dispersed because of drug seizure operations. that the drug seizure money is part of the meat and potatoes of the program that perpetuates that program. Without that money, it couldn't survive. Instead of relying on taxpayer money to perpetuate the program, it thrives off of that money that we receive during a drug seizure, no matter how much it is. That goes into to keep the program going.
So have you spoken with other chiefs, and are they having the same problem that Gerasi does not want to have?
I have met with the chiefs. I have met with the chiefs. They are all in agreement with me on my concept of Central Police Services. So in effect, that is, in my opinion, that is an endorsement of what I want to do going forward. And that's very important to me, and very important to the taxpayers of Chautauqua County.